Robert Dakota of Worldviews Media, and we're here with Michael Cremo in southern Colorado near the Mesa Verde region, and we've come out here to investigate a site for Dave Edwards, and we're here on his site now. And I just wanted to get some of your first impressions, Michael. You've been here for a couple of days, you met Dave, and now this is your first time at this site. Could you give us some of your initial feedback?
Yes. I first heard from Dave last year, late last year, and he told me something about his site here, that it had some connection with ancient peoples. So he had recovered some artifacts here, and I'm an alternative type of archaeologist. My book is called Forbidden Archaeology, and I expect that people will at least give me a hearing. So I thought, if I expect people to give me a hearing, I should give this man a hearing, a responsible, respectful hearing of his ideas. So I engaged in some correspondence with David for a while, and I have been here now, as you say, for a few days, and had a chance to hear him and see some more direct, have a more direct experience of the site. There are two kinds of sites, really. Just a physical site with artifacts made of stone or metal or wood or whatever. And then there's the more subtle or spiritual type of site, where you've got the presence of different energies that can be accessed or experienced. And I think this is a combination of both things. And a lot depends upon one's worldview. The worldview of most modern scientists is very strictly materialist, whereas there are others who are prepared to admit there may be more than ordinary matter involved in things. In the world of archaeology, there are, as far as I've experienced, two kinds of archaeologists. One is what I would call the archaeology group, singular. They think archaeology means just Western, scientific, objective archaeology that deals with material facts, that we study and try to infer things that happened in the past. But then there's another group, I call them the archaeologies group. And this group is more diverse. They understand there can be more than one archaeology. There can be many archaeologies based on different worldviews. There can be an Australian Aboriginal archaeology, a Native American Indian archaeology, a Pacific Island archaeology. And the way that such people look at sites is going to be a little bit different than a Western, trained, objective, scientific archaeologist who believes that's the only truth there may be. So these alternative archaeologies, I believe, are based on different worldviews that recognize forces and energies beyond those of ordinary matter, physical matter, the chemical elements, that recognize the presence of personality and consciousness and intelligence in nature itself. It's not that only we are conscious persons. The earth itself may be a conscious entity. There may be living force emanating throughout what we would call, or what a Western objective materialist scientist would call, ordinary matter, the world of our experience. So I think Dave, because of his involvement with one of these worldviews that involve things like that, I'm specifically speaking about his involvement with Native American, Indian cosmology and worldviews. I'm not going to go specifically right now into what exactly that is, but it's in this category of indigenous worldviews that look at archaeological evidence in different ways. And in modern archaeology, there's something called community archaeology, where the archaeologists who are trained in this Western objective, reductionist, scientific methodology will recognize that people with alternative worldviews, indigenous people, for example, the members of a particular tribe, if you're excavating in their region, they should be involved. They should contribute their insight. So basically what I'm saying is that if an archaeologist trained in the modern Western scientific objective view were to come here and look around, he might say something to the effect that, well, there's nothing here really that I can see that according to my standards and my worldview makes sense to me. But someone else might come from a different perspective, perhaps a Native American Indian who's gone through archaeological training but still has some element of the worldview of his or her peoples, seeing things in a different way, a different perspective, picking up on different things, might agree that this is a site, there is something meaningful here. So I'm willing to keep an open mind about this because I'm really on the side of the archaeologies group that has an appreciation for different worldviews. I think because of his ancestry, David has told me he has some Native American Indian heritage personally himself, and he has wide experience with members of local Indian tribal people, and I think that has influenced the way that he looks at the site. I think this has to be respected, that he's representing a certain tradition, and that influences him. Of course, I've told him also that because I'm not personally as experienced as he is in the details of this culture, this worldview that he personifies, that I might not be able to detect everything that he detects in this site. But I think he's done a good thing here, and I think as an individual he has every right to express himself on what this site means to him, and because in these days sometimes it's very hard to be an individual. You know, there's so much pressure for conformity and various aspects of life, and you know, for someone to stand up and just say, this is how I see things from my perspective, and desire to share it with others, I think that's a really remarkable thing, and I salute him for that.